So everything that's going to be said here is just a suggestion. So picture this. You're at your deathbed. You're about to die. And then there's a seeing that everything that you thought was real was not really true. Every person that you've ever met was not really there. All the time that you seeked looking for happiness was wasted. Everything that you've longed for is already true. What you've been looking for actually is the absence of everything. What you've been looking for is already present. What you've been looking for is already this. And in that deathbed, there's seemingly an absence of every understanding, of every single belief, of every single concept. The disappearance of all the ideas that was held onto, the belief systems that were quite important. Even the word important loses its meaning, meaning everything has lost its meaning. In that apparent imagined idea that I'm on a deathbed now, I'm about to die and everything, there's also a seeing that it doesn't know what death is. That death is another concept. An afterlife is another concept. Resurrection is a concept. A soul is a concept. God is a concept. There's a sigh of relief. Whew. There's a disbelief. Whoa. And then the one that is completely held on to the most is the concept of time. The beginning and the end. The linear time. The yesterday, tomorrow, age, happenings, the timekeeper. So on its deathbed, it realizes that there's no time. It realizes that there's no deathbed. It realizes that the now, future, and past are all appearing here at once. And in that deathbed, which is this, the death of everything. There's also a seeing that there's no body, there's nothing, no time, and everything collapses. So you're looking for the after, the afterlife, after death, after liberation, the after concept. Since there's no after, everything is just all at once. So you're always on your deathbed. But there's no one that dies. It's just another concept. Just another idea. It's another fantasy. But what is longed for? The day will come when I will understand everything. The day will come when all of these burdens will go away. The day will come when it's the apocalypse. The day will come when it's judgment day. The day will come when it's the end. What's being presented here is that what I've been saying is that this is always the end. This is always the past, the present, and the future appearing simultaneously. This is the timelessness appearing as these fragmented moments. That this is actually heaven. This is eternity. But since we don't know what eternity in heaven is, we seem to miss it. Since no one knows what paradise is, thinking that it was left or something that has to be regained or was lost, it never knew that it was in paradise. Since it believes in separation and concepts of ideas of here and there, then there's this there's this seeing that everything is separate. It misses that everything is pure and innocent. When everything is seen as fresh and brand new, at the same time, even if the apparent fresh and brand new is seeing the redundancy of the illusion is also seen as fresh and brand new. The day is seen as new, the night seen as new, because there's no one holding on to these concepts and ideas anymore. There's a question here from Nothing is Real. Can you say anything about suffering, please? Yeah, suffering is just another it's just another idea. It's just another concept. It's usually in the story, it's for seeking for something that it is not. It looks for different versions of what it is. It looks for the ideal. So when the desire to when the desire is not met, there seems to be suffering. Again, this is the dream of realness, right? So everything feels real. So when there is a seemingly belief that this is happening to me, there's also belief that this is suffering happening to me. It becomes a personalized situation. It becomes a personalized idea that that life is happening to me. That I am the centric character of this life. It becomes a little bit like solipsism, that everything revolves around me. That's quite a heavy burden to take. That's why there's suffering. Or the idea that I can control things. Or the idea that all I have to be is awareness. All I have to do is practice. All I have to do is abide. It's the belief in the separation that causes suffering. It's the belief in that there's something that I can do. It's the belief in soul, in being. It's the belief in imaginary things. There's nothing wrong or right about that. That's just what's happening. But when there's an identification that this is really happening, that there's something I can do it, all I have to do is do my mantras, my awareness practices, my this, everything that includes an I and a my is personalized. It goes just like what Anita is doing, circular motion of suffering. There might be relief, but after the relief, there's suffering again. Relief, suffering, relief, suffering. When what's already being expressed here, that everything is already completely free. So no one is going to be aware of awareness. No one's going to be abiding in awareness. I was a teacher of that. I was teaching meditation for quite a while. I believed in awareness. I believed in the absolute. But the moment that there is a position or an understanding or a what do you call that? That something that you can hold on to, then it becomes sticky. Kim, how are you doing, Kim? Hi.
Hi, Emerson. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Um, I was wondering if you can say something about it. It gets something here is constantly getting into a kind of confusion about there seems to be there seems to be perceiving
Mm,
and seeing of everything,
yeah, yeah, of course.
and that is that seems to create this story making of of the world
Yeah, yeah.
of yeah. Could you say anything about
Yeah,
that,
of
please?
course, because this is, after the seeing, apparently that's just another, so after the seeing, everything is expected to be um, see through, you know what I'm saying, transparent. But
Mm.
what's being missed is that everything that's appearing is still real, appears real. Like, of course, you still have to eat. If nothing is real anymore, then you would not be eating. You would not be taking a shower. You'd just be like walking around. But everything in this apparent illusion feels absolutely real. But once the attention, or when it's believed as completely real, then there's the confusion.
Yeah.
There's no one choosing it. But basically what I'm saying is, even if it feels real, it's also emptiness. It's also innocent. It's also pure. It's also not happening. Although it feels completely real that it's completely happening, it is seen as something that is unhappening happening, meaning it's all dead. And I know that's hard to dispel that because it does feel real. For example, if you're watching the news or something like that, or there's people that are talking to you that are very compelling stories, kind of like in a nighttime dream, everything that appears in a nighttime dream feels completely real,
Mm.
doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah,
I guess the confusing part is that there is this perception of
yeah,
seeing, and that's just how, yeah. And yeah, as
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it dropped away. It's like this you talked about
It's like a
earlier
dance.
of meing and being
Yeah,
and
yeah.
meing and being, and it's very confusing right
Yeah,
now.
it is, but the meaning and being is just a story now, isn't it? It's not real as well.
No.
Yeah. So
Mm.
everything that's appearing is also real and unreal appearing at the same time. Just like this. So everything that you're stuck onto is what you believe as real. Because if there's a seeing that really didn't matter as well, then every single moment is not really a moment. It's just this expansive dreaming. Nothing ever stops. Meaning that this is clarity as well. Even the apparent meaning or being
Okay, thank
is
you.
just it's just sorry, just a second. It's just also an appearance. Of course,
Yeah,
there's this kind of like relief when they're seeing that it's all just an appearance. Kind of like
yeah,
when you're dreaming at night. When you have this really horrible nightmare, and then you wake up, you're like, oh, that didn't really happen. You
mhm.
get a glass of water, and then sometimes you laugh at the absurdity of it. I do anyway. I don't know what happens
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
That happens too. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Because you really, really believe it. So every single apparent moment that feels real is like a nightmare and a dream that's not really happening at the same time. So even if it's because there's this preference again, right? Of the blissfulness. Like, oh my goodness, Emerson, I can't believe this. But it
Mm.
doesn't like the sticky stuff. Like for example, I'll give you an example. One morning, I've told this story a couple times now. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wear contact lens and glasses so I can't see anything. I was stepping on something really sticky. And then I walked, from my bedroom to the washroom. And I looked back and I realized I stepped on my dog poop. He's really old. So I said, I'm not going to say that, oh, that is so funny. No, I'm going to say, oh, man. So this is really shitty, right? So I'm kind of like, gross. I took a shower, gave my dog a shower, mopped the floor. But shit happens too.
Yeah,
The same thing as shift happens, shit happens, exact same thing. It's
I
not
guess
happening
that
to anyone.
no. And I guess the thing that gets confused here is that it's see when there's when it's kind of seen as both birth and death
It's not
at the
both.
same
Yeah, see?
time.
See, that's the problem. I just caught it. You're trying
Okay.
to see something that can't be figured out.
Yeah.
You conceptualized it. So when I'm saying that it's happening and unhappening, you can't conceptualize it. You're like, it's appearing and disappearing. You can't.
Mm.
So it appears real, but it's also not real. It's what's obvious. So you're looking for something that's not obvious, trying to look fault in what's being seen to see if this is it or this is not. It's always this is it, even when it feels like this is not. It's all emptiness appearing as confusion.
And
Everything.
even the sense of separation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also empty.
Mm.
The perceiver is empty. It's not there. It was already seen as empty, so everything that it perceives is empty as well. Even when it's shitty, it's still empty. This is not part-time non-duality. This is full-on non-duality,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So even the feeling that, oh, this feels really shitty today, that's also emptiness. That's also unconditional love.
Thanks, Emerson. Love you.
Love you too. Let's chat again soon. Just message me, okay?
Yeah, thanks.
When this is just a story, there was clarity here. Clarity, 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 clarity. And sometimes, ideas like that came. So what I did is I listened to Tony and listened to Jim, and then I became a host. But there was already clarity here. But the tricky, because it feels also real, even if it's seen through that it's not real. Sometimes, that it's kind of like the honeymoon period is over. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like there's this seeing that, like, oh my goodness, oh my, what the? Let me call Emerson. I just have to tell him. And then 3 days later, a week later, or 2 weeks, I don't know how long. There's no time anyway. There's this seeing that, well, I feel shitty today. This must not be it. It's also it. That's also emptiness. That's what I'm saying is that when freedom is presented, it's freedom presented as raw, as innocent. So freedom appears as confusion. This is not it. This can't be it. There's got to be something better than this. So everything that's appearing is already unconditionally free. The moment that you see that there's conditioning, that I want it to be this way or that way, that's the illusion. That's the me. But when it's seen that, oh, pesky little me, illusory me, here it is trying to make something out of nothing. Nancy,
Hi, Emerson.
hello.
Hi. What you're
Hi.
saying is just so clear. I
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much. I just it's really hard because I have seen very clearly, but then I do have
Yeah.
those those times that you're talking about, and that you know, and it's so we just shouldn't. I'm going to ask this
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
simple question. So
Yeah.
just don't believe what the thoughts or the mind is telling us.
There's no one choosing to believe or not to believe, but the seeing that the believing is coming from a perception of a perception, then it becomes really laughable. You're like, oh,
Okay.
there it is again. You can't change it. It's just what's happening.
So it's just sort of noticing it or being
It's
I don't
just
want to
see
say
it.
aware of it or
Not really, not really. It's
but
it's
there's no
it's
one to be aware and no one
no,
to know.
no. No, it's not about awareness or noticing it or something. It's just almost it's almost kind of like seeing it. You're like I'll give you an example. I was because when you're trying to be aware of it, you're trying to pinpoint and locate it, right? It becomes a knowing as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not that. It's not that,
It's
right?
it's trying to, it's like
It
what you were saying about conceptualizing. It's
yeah,
like you want
concept.
to, go, oh well, I'm having this thought and this isn't it.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. So there was this clarity here, clarity that I was just kind of like, oh wow, I can't believe this clarity. Wow, like everything is beautiful, and walking down the street, looking, staring at a tree for 20 minutes, and then walking to another tree, naming all the trees. I'm like, oh, that's freedom. That's Trinity or something. And I name all the trees.
I
Um,
love it.
it was just this kind of like thing. And then all of a sudden, this narrative of all of these shameful things that this character has done in the past.
Oh
Here
my
you,
God, that's what's coming up with me. That's
yeah, yeah,
what's
yeah.
coming up.
And I
Yes.
bursted out laughing. I'm like, that's like an Alexa. It's like an app.
Wow.
Yeah. It's also infinity, by the way. That's also liberation. It appears in everything. When it's
Wow.
non-duality, it's not just this preference and that preference and this preference. If that's a preference, just everything to be holy, then wear a robe, you know what I'm saying? And wear mallow beads. That's not freedom, though.
Right. Right. Well, I have the shameful feelings of just I don't know, this character has just, this is just part of this character's past, but I have this thing where even just speaking to people, and then I pick it apart, and I feel shameful about just any everyday,
Isn't it amazing
relating.
how pure and innocent appears as shameful as well?
It's
It's
yeah,
yeah, emptiness. It's
yeah.
all empty. It's nothing really. It's
And then
nothing
I
really.
start thinking, well, that's just this trying, this me trying to hold on or something,
Yeah, but there's really no
but
me,
then,
right? It's just wholeness
yeah.
appearing as whatever. See, this seems to be the problem. So there's this feeling of confusion, and then the feeling of confusion gets added with I feel confused. I feel conflicted. So there's this wholeness that's just appearing without any labels, and then the labeler called the I or the me labels it something as a separation, although it's not separate. Think of it. This is a kind of funny way of thinking about it. When I was a kid, I used to have this labeler called Dymo.
Uh-huh.
So I would label every belonging of mine. Emerson's book, Emerson's pencil, Emerson's this labeler thing, the sticker thing.
Yeah.
Emerson's cassette tape, Emerson's everything's Emerson, Emerson, Emerson. So there's an ownership to everything that happens, and the ownership to everything that happens is the separation creating further separation. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
But separation is also empty. It's also an illusion.
So when you say it's separation,
Yeah, it's the illusion of
causing
separation.
the illusion of separation,
Yeah.
causing more separation, or illusion of separation.
It's just
It just
it's
sort of
good.
like snowballs, sort of.
Yes, yes, it does. Yeah. All of a sudden, you're kind of like, well, I guess the me is back now. Although there was no me.
Yeah.
It just takes one
True,
kernel
Emerson.
of belief, and that belief, multiplies into other belief.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like taking the ball and running with it.
that's right. Yeah,
Or
it's like a
something.
snowballing effect. You're like, well, I had this idea that that I don't feel great. I had what do you call that? I had gas in my stomach, and I don't feel great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that gas becomes like, well, I'm really worthless then. If I lost this, I must be horrible. And it becomes about shame. I'm like, oh, was I faking it the whole time?
Yeah, that, and when you've already seen it so clearly. I
That's
mean, me,
right.
I'm talking about me, I've already seen it very clearly.
Yeah. It's like it's already seen as a dream. It's not really happening. So there's this relief of like there's this lucid dreaming. And then there's the dreamer idea that comes around again. And then it's embraced. No choice though. It's just seen as like if it's a dream that's not preferred, if it's like a nightmare, then it doesn't want that anymore. They're like, well, you know what? I'll go back into the me then. I don't want this nightmare. I want to have a choice. I don't want this. So the belief that it can do something or manipulate things is the belief. It's a persistent illusion, right? Because the moment that
Yeah.
you wake up in the morning, the app goes, "Good morning."
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Before you go to bed, what am I going to do tomorrow? It's a reminder. It's a reminder that you can't turn off. It's a reminder that this is real, but it's just a reminder, meaning it's not really real,
wow.
and it doesn't make sense.
No.
It's
And
like
so
it's
there's no
it's like
there's
Alexa, Alexa app that you can't turn off. It comes with it. It comes with the dream.
so things that, so when this mind tries to understand this stuff, there's no understanding
See there,
anyway.
see there's no
So
mind too, right? So that's another app.
right. That's another. How many apps do I have, Emerson?
It's an app that keeps on generating stories to hide the mask that it's just a fictional story.
Emerson luoge. Kus die andere wieder.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's kind of like, when you ask, someone that's a flat earther, well, where does the flat earth, what is it on then? The ladies will say, well, it's on top of a turtle, a giant turtle. Earth is on top of a giant turtle. What's underneath the turtle? It's turtles all the way down. It's an illusion all the way down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anita.
Yeah, I also want to thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. For
Yeah,
nothing.
I also was a meditation teacher in the past, and the last few years I couldn't do that anymore.
Mm.
There's still something sometimes that, and I think maybe I can facilitate healings again.
Nothing wrong right about that. It's just what's
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
There's no one choosing to do or not do anyway.
Oh, yeah. And this morning I thought it has preferences, but there are no preferences. It's just what is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also say that since there's this seeing that there's no awareness, everything already is meditation. There's nowhere to go.
Meditation.
There's no meditation. Yeah.
No.
That's right.
There's that innocence that is so beautiful.
Mm. Yeah, it is actually. It is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What time did we come back?
Kathy? Do I hear Kathy? It is Kathy.
I was just laughing. I don't know why. I was just laughing. I didn't say anything. I was just laughing. Oh, okay.
Oh, question here. And do you wanna ask this question? Today, this just sounds like all the other stuff that there's those who gets it, and then those that don't, like all the good things in life. And those who's like me won't get it until they die. No. What's being expressed here is that no one will get this because this is already this. There's no one and there's no someone. There's no one special, and this is actually the bulldozering of everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear that.
Where are you?
And yet, hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Anne.
Yeah, I hear that.
Mm.
And yet it just seems just like, okay, here we go again. What are you doing?
Yeah.
People are kind of like saying, oh, I listen to Jim and I listen to Tony and I listen to Andreas. And I'm kind of like thinking, yeah, well, that's that whole immersion thing, isn't it? I could listen to Joe Dispenza, I could listen to Tony Robbins, and sort of like go down their rabbit hole, and it's going to be whatever, and then when I get to almost getting this, it's going to be, well, this wasn't really it. It was something else. And here we are, and you're never going to get here either.
No, that's an understanding of it. What's being expressed here is that this is not an understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear what I'm saying?
I do. But I'm hearing a story trying to mask another story. What's being expressed here, that the storyteller, the one that's creating all of these scenarios and situations, is the one that is illusory. The other, Joe Dispenza and everything, reinforces that illusion over and over again. This does not. This is basically the end the end of the line for that believer. If the believer wants to believe that this is just like that, then that's what it believes, which proves my point, that it just keeps on creating story after story, even though it's being expressed here that this is the end game.
Yeah, how is it? It can't be seen here.
It's being expressed
It
that, yeah. So what are you trying to see exactly? Let's just go. Let's just go there.
nothing. The the experience of that those who have had it, yes.
So what you're trying to say is, give me a story that I can believe in. A story that this really happens, that I want to see the story of nothing so that I can
Not
feel
so.
nothing. Yeah.
Not so.
All right. Go ahead. Try.
What's being expressed is no story, yet no story.
Yeah,
Yet
no story is
it's
also a
no
story.
story.
Yeah, a no story is also a story. I said there's no getting out of the story. There's no getting out of the illusion. And that's why it's
But
the end.
what I'm hearing you say is, this is it already. Okay, so they're
Yeah.
and it's like Alexa, and Alexa pops up and says, "Hi, good morning, how are you?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you kind of like go, okay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of catching that.
Okay.
And yeah.
But you're making that into a story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
For speaking, for being able to explain something. So I don't know. It's just, Tony calls it the contracted energy, and it falls away.
So what I'm going to suggest is, and there's no
Mm.
no one choosing to do this or not, is that, as I said, everything that you've heard is a story. So you're holding on to that story of a contracted energy that falls away. So again, it's a story, repeating a story, hoping that that story will happen to a story. What's being exposed is that everything that you know, you think, you understand, is not real. But holding on to that story that this will happen to me, that, well, I see it, then it's basically hiding behind a story that this is not happening to a story. As I said, everything is a story. Everything is not true. Because the one that believes is not true. the one that apparently has this memory of hearing Tony or somebody else, saying that the dropping away or something, then it becomes a held on to belief. The reason that I call these hardcore sessions is to illuminate that everything is a story. So even what you think is a learned, it's not about learning anything. It's not about achieving something. This is like a wipe clean. This is darkness. This is blackness. This is empty. Yeah. But the coming up of stories, as I said, every story that comes up is dead. When you believe it, you make it alive.
I think the difficulty is my head gets in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sure happens. Yeah. And there's no one choosing to do that. There's no one choosing to do it. It's just what's happening. One, it's seen that the head that's trying to do it and what is trying to think about it is all illusion that feels completely real. And there's usually a laughter. Kind of like, oh, shoot. Oh, wow. It's not about losing the you. It's not about losing the me or losing that app. Or even making that app real because it's not even real. I'm telling stories to dispel a story to show that it's just a story.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to mute some.
Is that me?
I'm not. No, someone else.
Okay.
It can get quite frustrating in the story, right? Because the story is trying to get out of the story or trying to figure out the story and then trying to remember other stories that other storytellers have told you about how to end the story or how to get rid of the story. It becomes this cyclical story and you're kind of like, which story do I believe in? What's being offered here is what's being expressed here is none of it. Because the moment that the story is believed, it doesn't matter if it's, Joe Dispenza or Tony Robbins or Tony Parsons. They're all not there. There is no time. So all of these ideas about these characters are stories. I love Tony Parsons. And it's very clear in his communication. But I can see sometimes where it can be held on to because he becomes the authority. He's not an authority. He will say it over and over again that this is coming from nowhere, from no thing. This is emptiness speaking to emptiness. So when you hold on to what emptiness is saying as a fact or as a belief system, then it becomes trapped in that web of stories that seemingly created by the story of me. Yeah. Nothing wrong or right about that. It's just what's happening. But coming up with a story or coming into a conclusion is a story. Any conclusions, any belief, any knowing, any kind of understanding is a story. It's not real. When I hear someone say, I understand what you're saying, I'm like, no, you don't. Because no one understands this. And it's not a special thing. It's just everyone's equally saying it. Ignorant. Blissfully ignorant. But they think that they know it or they're getting to somewhere. But none of what is being said here has any purpose or meaning. It's just really an exposure.
It's pushing my stupid button.
There's no stupid button. You just created that story. What's a stupid? That's just another story. See how funny it is? Wow. How amazing though, right? That just comes up. So a story defends another story by coming up with a story about a stupid button, but there's no one. There's no one. It's pure and innocent. it can be, it can come up as like, well, I know more than you, or there's nothing that you know, or I'm stupid, or, but all of that is story, is what I'm saying. There's no one here,
Yeah,
there's no one there.
yeah, yeah. But you knew lots,
No,
and
I don't
then
know anything. No.
you
That's what's
you,
being
you
expressed
used
here. What's that?
there was a knowing of a lot by the one that was you.
No, actually, no. Everything that this apparent character knew about awareness and everything did not make any sense anymore. So when it's seeing that there's no time and space, everything that's appearing now is not coming from knowing, it's just appearing.
And this isn't like a priming thing. So this
No.
isn't like, like Tony went through a lot of stuff. The sort of his story
Yeah.
was, there was a lot that he did.
Yeah.
That was he was a seeker, but heavy duty seeker.
Yeah, yeah.
And it sounds to me that you were kind of like similar vein.
Yeah. But have you heard a
And
story about my friend that I haven't seen in 10 years? He was actually on the first session earlier. So
mm,
this is a story about my friend that has not heard about me in 10 years. He knew that I became a spiritual
yeah,
teacher. He doesn't have any kind of spiritual background. We went to Catholic school together in high school. And so he
yay.
wanted to get a hold of me. And he goes, Emerson, what's up with you? Can you tell me what's happening? I'm like, you're not going to believe it. But since I've known this friend for a long, long time, he goes, try me. I'm like, I said, I'd rather not. He goes, come on, come on. So I started talking about non-duality, non-duality. And I
Mm,
said to him that, there's never been anyone here. He goes, what? What do you
mm,
mean? Like, there's never been anyone here. And then I reminded him, remember when you were blacked out and then you drove all the way home? And so was there anyone there? So he went to
mm,
the washroom after maybe a couple of pints of beer and he came back. He goes, I just threw up. I'm like, are you okay? He goes, there's never been anyone here. He didn't go to any suffering or anything like that. He's pretty
mm,
had probably one of those kind of like sheltered life in a suburb.
mm,
Has a lovely wife and 2 kids.
mm.
And now we go for walks and he goes, look at that tree and stare for it for like 20 minutes. So it's not a cause and effect thing. Everything is a story, including cause and effect.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. Come back and ask more questions, and that was good questions.
Mm. Oh well. Thank you, Emerson.
All right. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
for sure. For sure. There are questions in the chat box. Someone just sent me a message. That's funny. So I'm going to repeat again. Everything that appears, I mean everything, thoughts, feelings, seeing, vision, taste, everything is the unreal that feels completely real. Simultaneously. No gaps. Can you talk more about that? Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, so what's being expressed is that everything that's perceived, since it's being perceived by a perceiver that is completely unreal, but the perception is that everything is happening because the illusion is that it is real. Kind of like in a nighttime dream, that everything seems to be happening completely real, the moment that the dreamer, there's no dreamer, but the dream is seen as a dream, meaning the moment that you wake up, although there's no one that wakes up, then everything that would have happened that felt completely real is seen as completely illusory. Since it's been proven over and over again that there's no such thing as time, everything that we're talking about right now seems to happen in time. So since there's no time, nothing is happening. There's just an illusion that everything is happening. Again, since there's no movement, everything is stillness. Since there's no time for sound to travel from here and there, this is all silence. Since there's no one here, no one is perceiving this, meaning that it cannot be understood. So there's no wise person and there's no stupid person because there's no person. Let's go a little bit further. Since this is wordless, everything that appears here is just like a noun, an adjective, a verb. Since this is wordless, any word, noun, adjective, verbs are not really happening. That's why I keep on saying that this is sleep talking. All of that's happening right now seems to be a real happening. It feels real. But if we take all the labels and just say it feels real, then it's not really separate, isn't it? And again, this doesn't have any kind of arrival. This is not about reaching something. One of the obstacle of an apparent person that has fallen away is they think that they have arrived. The moment that you think that you've arrived, you're also going to depart. Meaning that the moment that you think that you got it, you're going to lose it. The moment that you think that you've achieved something, it's gone already. So it's like and there's some funny people out there, and this is just a story, there's no other funny people out there, that they think they got something. And they write their great awakening in a big post. They write all of these stories and everything. But they've arrived at something. And they're trying to maintain that something by making other people wrong. But my question is, who... Oh, sorry. I'm just going to mute you for a moment here. My question is, who are they talking to? So what's being expressed here that this is not being talked to anyone. And go ahead, you have a question.
Hi, Emerson.
Hi.
So is it like because there's nothing here?
Yeah.
There's nothing here.
Yeah. Yes. It's not to be understood though, because you're trying to understand what nothing.
Yeah, but it's just clear.
It's clear, right?
Nothing here.
Yeah. Yeah. Bingo. Nothing's here.
But there isn't anything.
There's never been anything. No. No. It's so simple.
Why?
Go ahead.
So why would it go? Why would it go away?
Because the idea that it arrived, that you got nothing, becomes an idea. The perception becomes perceived. This has nothing to do with time. This is timelessness.
Mm.
So when it's understood in time, it becomes temporal. This can't be captured in time. This is timelessness. Nothing is timeless. Nothing is eternity. Nothing is infinity. Nothing is emptiness. It's nice, huh?
It's, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, yeah. Yeah, it's I say it's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
It's all right. It's really nothing. It's all right.
You've got you've got an understated character here.
Huh? Yeah, yeah. Ah, so what? Yeah. I guess this is yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Emerson.
Of course.
Oh, oh,
It's all right. Bertrand, how are you?
What?
Hey.
Hey, yeah, same thing as I said earlier. It's like something else is going on, but I also did want to say like when speakers talk about like, oh, the me is, I don't know, the sense that I am here and there is a world around me and whatnot. It seems as if, well, it's just a story,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that it seems the closest that conceptual understanding can get is just like, oh, so what's left if the sense of me is not there? Then it's like,
But that's also a concept.
yeah, it's like
You
I
can't
want
even-
to say nothing, but it's sort of not even, it's it's like the mind has the brain has to crack open.
What brain?
Like
What mind?
Yeah. Yeah, sort of speechless, but
I remember I was trying to talk to Tony about this, and it's like, that's it, say no more. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, say no more.
Say no more. Yeah, it's basically say no more.
Yeah. It kind of like I always say this when there was a lot of clarity here. Every time that I spoke, I'm like, oh, it's like muddying the water though, because it's so clear.
mm.
It's so clear. It's in
It's so
everything.
funny. It's like
It's in
I laugh,
everything. Yeah.
but then there's like trying to understand, but then that it's funny. But then
It's in the laughter, and it's in between the laugh. It's in the silence of the laugh, and it's in the trying to understand and the understanding. They're all emptiness. They're not separate. Is what's being expressed here. Nothing is separate. It's in that and this. There's no that and this.
it just feels like I've been put underwater.
Mm.
Yeah,
You can't breathe.
but no, it's not. It's like you can't breathe, but there's no need to breathe at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's so funny that I keep on doing this. There's this passion in doing this. And I know I have a retreat next week and I did one before. So maybe I'll do the retreat 4 sessions in one day for 2 days. Maybe. I don't know. It's like, for me, it's like there's no difference between DJing and this. I DJ for 6 hours. And I love it. Because what's seen is that there's no one doing it. No one's doing it. And it's talking to no one. And it's just fun. I've always known this as a DJ when I would DJ, and even in the story, that in the 45 minutes into DJing, there is a noticing like, who's playing this music? Where is this music coming from? Because it's just appearing, right? It's kind of like, and then you're seeing all of the hands moving and everything, and it's just all of this happening. And I also do that with piano playing. But this kind of DJ doesn't prepare a DJ set. It's just freestyle, free flow completely all the time. It doesn't
like constantly.
Yeah. It's just like this free. That's why I love. People ask me, why don't you make videos? Like videos with you just talking. I like the free flowness of this.
Okay.
I like not editing. Make any sense?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to edit.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy and then Anita.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking about what you said earlier about talking to your 4-year-old nephew. And I thought, that this message can be more understood by a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Because they're not the contamination that we have from society, culture, familial background, everything that goes into the conditioning. It's what's blocking this. I mean, that's what I see. I think it's so much more accessible for the 4-year-old who is not contaminated by anything at this point. I used to work with 4-year-old children, and I had one boy that was severely disabled, had severe problems, physical. And nobody noticed it. None of them knew, nobody ever noticed, but when he got to, with a group of older children, it was, what's wrong with you? This kind of thing. So I'm realizing that's probably what's holding me back.
What you just made there is just a story.
It's a big story.
It's a big story.
I knew you were going to say that.
So I love you. But I'm gonna say this. This is just another story, but it is the 4-year-old. The difference between 4-year-old and whatever. There's no difference really because there's no 4-year-old. That there is this belief and disbelief are both beliefs. So it doesn't, and there's this complete openness and trust. I'm his uncle too, and he loves me. So there's just this complete openness and trust of what was being expressed. That it doesn't have any agenda, that it's not trying to convince us of something. That's all that I'm doing. I don't have any agendas. I just love doing this. It's like DJing. But since there is a disbelief there or a belief of something, then it
so
obscures.
there's no belief.
No.
You're saying there's no belief.
That's what I've been saying, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or disbelief.
Or disbelief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For
the
a
moment that I
4-year-old.
say something, moment that I say something, there's already either a belief, basically,
Absolutely.
Agreeing with everything that I'm saying, then it's not. That's understanding. That's kind of like, oh yeah, I believe him. Or there's a disbelief, oh, this can't be it. You know what? I think that this person's clearer than this
Yes.
person. But you're just
Yeah.
making a separation. There's no
It's
one doing it.
constantly, yeah,
Yeah,
it's constantly
yeah,
making the separation.
yeah.
Yeah,
So your story blocking the story by another story.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
I can see that.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anita.
Yeah,
Hello.
I can't say anything about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There he is.
He's back.
Yeah.
He has never left.
Hello. Sorry, I'm back.
There he is.
Sorry, go ahead with what you were saying, Anita.
Yeah, there was something that yeah, you can speak about this. That's
Yeah, you can't. It's really difficult to
I
speak.
can't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But there's
I
this.
like it that now you are on the right and I'm on the left. I like that
Yes.
very much.
There's no difference, really. Yeah. There's no difference. There's no one there. There's no one here. There's no one everywhere.
I want to make a picture of us. Wait. I am on my WhatsApp. Yeah, great.
You got it?
Got it.
Thank you. Yeah, so what's being talked about here is just it's purely energetic. It's not a transmission really, because there's not traveling. This is just boundlessness, energetic. There's no shifts even. What's here is also there because there's no here and there. What's absent here is also absent there because there's no one. There's a story, apparently, but it's seen as a story that doesn't really have any kind of source. So that's one of the other obstacle that people think about is that where is the source of this? Good luck finding a source. That's what keeps the cycle going is the source. That's the that's a great trap actually, huh? It's the source, the being, the soul, all of that kind of stuff. Hi Petra.
Is it just another attempt to try to land someplace?
It is, yeah. Again, this doesn't have any landing, right?
Mm.
This doesn't have any destination. This doesn't have a beginning. So a source, or even when they say, you know, it's kind of funny because I giggle a lot now, not to ridicule, but it's just seeing. It's also pure and innocent, including the giggling and the seemingly kind of like thing. When I read abiding in awareness, I giggle now, or prior to awareness, I giggle now, because there's no prior and there's no abiding. There's just this clarity here that it's nuts, because it sees that, you know, that what seems to be appearing as a really kind of like, you know, earnest teaching is just really keeping the seeker in a circle of seeking and suffering, seeking and suffering, seeking and suffering. And also, even with this communication, when the seeker thinks that it landed somewhere, then it goes back into the merry-go-round again. It goes, I was so happy yesterday, today not so much. I must be a me again. No! There's no one, it's just a happening. Again, there's no landing here, right? It's free falling. It's free falling. No position, no location, no source. It's decentralized. It's like Bitcoin. Maybe that's a bad analogy. It doesn't have any meaning or purpose. What's funny thing about this too is it's so hilarious when there is a seeming understanding of something that can't be understood. And there's nothing wrong or right about understanding. Nothing wrong or right at all. Yeah. So this is kind of like a very vague expression because it can't come into a conclusion. Because it's really tricky. I see it. That's why I don't really go to those gossip groups about awakening because it just becomes a gossip center. There's nothing wrong or right about that. But it becomes kind of like, I am more enlightened than you. And I am, the moment that it's disposition or let me share you my awakening, then there's a comparison. Everything is a story, including that. There's no one more than or less than, because there's no one at all. The reason I don't really engage much, in social media, because I'm not really, I'm not really, it's seen that there's no one. Sorry about that. Well, I think that the internet is going on and off, but thank you so much, everyone. Um, can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Yeah? Oh, maybe not. Hello? Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have to either get something done with this thing. This is such a dangerous communication that the internet gods are threatened by it. This radicalness. Um, so on a closing statement here, although there's no statement, I'm going to repeat what I said in the very beginning. Everything that you have learned, everything that you know, everything that you think is true is not true, but it feels absolutely true. And actually, that's not a grimy. That's not like a. It's like a death blow to all of your hopes and dreams, to all of your understandings, to all of your belief system. But the death actually is quite liberating. The death actually is quite, how would you say it? Unknown. So it's the unknowing happening. So there's no more trying to get here, get there, because there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to understand. When all the beliefs crumble, everything becomes unbelievable. but also undeniably stunning. Like, oh wow, nothing is true, but this is gorgeous. It's a wow. Even the shitty moments sometimes, when the anger arises, the frustration arises, you're like, but it doesn't stick anymore. Again, there's no location, there's no position. This is not arriving at somewhere. Because the moment that you think that you've arrived at somewhere, then you will leave that again. And there's no one choosing to do that or not do that. But what's being expressed here is that the normalness of everything is that everything feels true, but equally untrue. And that's where liberation lies, apparently. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. I think I'm going to end it there because the internet is not quite good.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you, Emerson.
Great,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank
Emerson.
you.
Bye,
Thank you,
Kate.
Emerson.
Bye.
Get well
Right.
soon.
I know,
Thank
I can
you.
hear my voice.
Bye.
Like, yeah. That's also emptiness, by the way. That's also infinity.
Does your back hurt also? Your back?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
I
get well.
yes, like after a couple of hours, I'll probably need
Thank you.
hours. So it's just there's just this in loveness with this,
Mm.
right,
Yeah.
Carol?